thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you for the Celtic Media Festival as well, for having us on. So yeah, this is going to be a really exciting panel to discuss the future of visual effects in Ireland. So as most of you know, that visual effects is quite a new and kind of ever-evolving industry within film and television production. So long gone are the days of VFX kind of solely being part of the Hollywood big budget feature films. It's even the lower sort of small budget TV shows. They are also starting to incorporate a bit of VFX into their workflows, and the demand seems to be higher than ever. So we're very lucky to have these three experienced members of the Irish VFX team on our panel today. They manage some of the most dynamic teams across the industry in Ireland. And again, Ireland is kind of excelling in visual effects, and it's got a really incredible reputation internationally now. So I'm Sophia. Not be tapping that again. I'm Sophia McKeever. I'm post-production supervisor and VFX producer at Yellow Moon Post-Production out in Hollywood, and I'll be our chair for this conversation. We're going to start with some kind of quick introductions. So without further ado, I'm delighted to welcome Eugene McChrystal from Outer Limits.
Hi there, guys. I'm Eugene McChrystal. I run a post house in Dublin called Outer Limits. So we are like a we do, actually all of us, we actually do full service post-production. So we do sound, picture, grading, all the areas. But VFX is kind of an area that's just growing and growing every year. So that's enough. And this is put you on the Bernard.
Hi, I'm Bernard Rogan. So I run First Element in Dublin. Again, like Eugene, we are a full integrated post and VFX house, and a lot of the post companies in Dublin, they started out initially way back as post-production, and slowly the VFX evolved as a matter of course, and demand was there for it. So we developed these departments. Again, we work on a majority of everything like dramas, feature films, and a lot of the VFX is from our position is compositing and high-end compositing. But we all have different skill sets, and we try to collaborate together on that. So I'm going to pass over to Drew from Egg.
I'm Drew. I'm the MD of Egg VFX. I'm going to start dropping credits in because I'm just here to sell. No, that's a lie. I'm joking. We're part of Visual Effects Ireland. Recent credits include How to Get to Heaven from Belfast and The Rainmaker for Lionsgate TV. And I think we want this to be quite an interactive session because it's quite small. There's almost as many panelists as there are audience. There's going to be a fight at the end? No, we're not going to do that.
No. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. So yes, we've got Visual Effects Ireland reel to play you now, just to kind of give you a little bit of a taste of what the amazing Irish VFX houses have to offer. So yeah, we're going to play reel. impressive. And yeah, a lot of recognisable different TV shows, feature films in there. So we'll start off with an easy one, Drew. It's obviously quite, like I said, innovative industry. Ireland is at the cutting edge of it, and kind of what, in any way, is VFX Ireland contributing to that, and how has that sort of helped spearhead VFX in Ireland?
Yeah, I suppose we're the representative body for visual effects studios in the Republic. As Eugene and Bernard both said, we all grew out of post houses. And it would be fair to say in the post-production space, we gladly slit each other's throats for the gig. That's fair, right?
Not literally.
Not really.
Whereas in visual effects, I mean, it's such a global industry, and the aim of all of our companies is to create a critical mass in the Republic, but it also includes the North, which is why we've worked together in the past as well. I mean, the reality is there hasn't been, in the last 20 years, anywhere a stable environment for Irish artists to North and South to work and stay on the island. And our main aim is to make sure we can build that critical mass. So obviously as part of that, we've been lobbying for the 40% uplift in the Section 481 tax credit, and we managed to get that across the line with help from people across the industry, including Screen Producers Ireland and Screen Ireland. And with organisations like Screen Ireland and LNI Screen being quite so dynamic and really supportive of local talents, and we're adding on to that, I suppose, and trying to collaborate and work together on projects to make sure that we can get the biggest and best jobs here, so then we can train the next generation of artists, and that actually people don't have to leave. They don't have to leave the island of Ireland. They can stay here, North and South, and do great creative work.
So using that collaboration to keep things within the island, but also not seeing each other as complete competitors.
Yeah, well, like as we're saying, post-production is quite competitive, but VFX is a bit of a numbers game, so there's not enough for some of the studios in London, even LA. Like they are bigger. One single studio is bigger than our whole industry in this island, really. So we do have to collaborate to make it work. And we do. The main reason for VFX Ireland was to do with the tax, to lobby the government for the tax break, which we now have got after we've got a 40% now, just about to rationalise in the EU's rationalised it, so ratified it, not rationalised it. And so that was through all that work that way, doing all that effort that way.
And in fairness, I think that the international studios and streamers, they want to see that we collaborate so that we can offer the capacity to deliver, which they want. And in fairness, we do that, and we make sure that we work together closely to that will happen, particularly from an industry point of view in Ireland.
Yes, and that even includes sort of that north-south collaboration that we're seeing more and more of, producers kind of getting two bites of the apple that way, depending on whether they do their post down south or the shoot, and how that kind of divides up.
The border is very useful that way.
Yes.
I suppose the scale between the indie film uplift in the UK, which is equivalent to 40%, the one in Ireland, the scale one, it means you can divide and do the 80-20 either way, so you can do production in the north and post in the VFX in the south, or vice versa, and you can get the 40% on that as well. So it's a very good, divide, but it works well. It kind of keeps us together at that level.
Yes, and then that obviously in turn is keeping producers happy. They're getting maximum out of their budget. Very good. Well, yeah, I suppose that kind of brings us on to, because it is such a new industry, and obviously we're trying to adapt very, very quickly to the newest technologies and all of that. What has kind of been the Irish VFX scene's, I suppose, opinion on AI kind of creeping in there? So we're going to have to talk about AI at some point. I feel like it's...
Yeah, like the AI is obviously on every industry's mind, so it's very much, and especially with generative AI, the amount of stuff. We're obviously been using kind of machine learning tools for quite a while in VFX. It's not a new thing. There's some amazing tools in Nuke and stuff like Copycat and stuff like that. It's crazy what you can do already. But the big thing is a lot of the generative stuff. So it's a real problem at the moment, because it's very hard to know when you're allowed to use it and when you're not allowed to use it. So and there's all sorts of issues around that. We're trying to get some guidelines at the moment. We do use it on certain shows, but the only way we can actually do it is track what we use. So we have a report of what we use. So we are not the production company. We don't own the content, so we are a facilities service provider. So we just have to track when we use it and how we used it, and then let the lawyers sort out the rest.
Yeah, copyright is a big issue. Really.
Yeah, so some of the models don't script internet, and some do, and the ones who don't script internet aren't very good, and so it's kind of a tricky one. It's going to be a legal field over the next few years, I think. But we have to if we don't use it, we're not being competitive either. So if somebody can knock up a picture on their phone and we're a VFX studio and we can't do it, you have to compete in some way.
The reality is that, like, we're a creative technology business, right? So we have to be across it. Machine learning has been part of our workflows for a long time.
Absolutely.
The copyright and IP issue around what the models were trained on is less pertinent in images than it is in Word, because the sun is the sun, a car is a car. So, I mean, already the large language models have circumvented that for imagery. So, I mean, I think we have a few students in the audience. You know, for those that are thinking about getting into VFX, absolutely learn the softwares that you need, Houdini, Blender, Maya, but also keep a very real and open eye on how machine learning is affecting those, because it will. One of the challenges for all of us, we've all trained our own and, you know, grown our own artists. Sounds a bit odd. Is that will those entry-level roles still be available in 2, 3, 4 years' time? And the reality is they probably won't, but there's got to be a way in for people into the industry. So that value-add piece is a big part of, if anyone that's thinking of a career, and I can see some students. I'm not saying don't go into it.
I wouldn't look at negative. I think it's brilliant. I think it's going to be brilliant what you'll be able to do. It's just a matter of working out what you're allowed to do is going to be the tricky one.
I think it'll just make things a lot more efficient, you know, and whilst keeping the fundamentals of the artistry alive, it'll help us to do things maybe a bit quicker and faster, and maybe achieve more with the new technology, so we can get shots done faster.
But currently, the models at the moment are kind of finished models. They're not working in any type of 16-bit color space. They're all 8-bit. They're kind of baked in colors. They're not really ideal for us anyway at the moment, so we can use them as elements. So, but that's going to change, obviously. Very rapidly.
Yes. And so you're kind of thinking that to take away all of the boring work, the roto, all of the kind of stuff that just is very time consuming but maybe less creative, and then hopefully that might even draw that next batch of creative VFX artists and actually giving them more time to kind of develop those skills rather than, I mean, roto is very important obviously.
If you're a good prompter, you can do anything. Yeah. You still need to have an artist's eye, and you still need to do stuff. So it's difficult for us from a business point of view at the moment, because we still have to do the kind of more traditional ways of doing certain shots, and it's dangerous for us to say actually we could do that in a day in AI, or it'd take you 3 weeks to do it in the traditional sense in 3D or in Houdini or whatever.
Yes.
So we're in a tricky in-between stage until we, because it's not that reliable yet.
No,
also, it can't really interpret creative nuances. It really is like a technical form of operation.
Directors want to change stuff.
They want to change stuff, and they don't like the look of stuff. You have to interpret that, and that is a creative process. And currently, that doesn't really exist in AI.
No, and I would say that won't be the case for
a little bit
more time. But yes, so quicker and quicker kind of.
It's certainly here in some places, areas already. So.
Very good. Looking towards, I suppose, people trying to get into the industry, and we're obviously talking about a lot of different softwares there. What would be your advice to kind of young budding VFX artists that, or even people who have an interest in getting into the industry? Do you have to go that more traditional route, kind of through college and whatever else?
Yeah, actually, I'd say in all of our studios we have a mix of different people. So people who have autodidacts who've gone and learnt stuff themselves and done lots of tutorials online. I mean, one thing I'd say to anyone that's young and is thinking of a career in the creative industry is go and make stuff. You might not be a camera person, but find someone that is. Go out and do as much as you can, get as many miles under the wheels as you possibly can. And we find that they're the best. So in visual effects, you really need to understand lenses. And like one of my best artists over the the few years that I've been there. Never went to college, didn't do VFX, but was a wedding videographer for 5 years. So he really understood lenses, and it made him a brilliant artist.
Yeah, get a camera and get with an interchangeable lens.
And that, you know, try and get time on set, whether it's VFX, production, whatever it is, volunteer, become part of cooperatives, do whatever you can to be around people that are making stuff. And that goes for writers, it goes for everyone, writers, directors, producers. Just keep making stuff. I mean, that, you know, that new movie that released over the weekend that started as a...
Dreams of Violence.
No, the backroom thing.
Oh, sorry.
Backrooms, I think it's called. Open to 80 million, and it started as a YouTube video. And the director is 20 years old, Ryan Pixels, I think, is his online name. Like, just if you're making stuff, you will learn stuff, you will meet people, you will find collaborators, and you will help find your own voice. And that would be what I'd recommend across everything, and that's as true for you know, people that made stuff and want to become VFX artists. That will really help them.
And put together show reels as well. Obviously, have your work that you do yourself, so that you can demonstrate, you know, what you can see, good roto or good composite or whatever, just to show that is important.
Well, of course, you know, you can have Nuke, Houdini, whatever on your CV, but unless they're actually seeing the work visually, to kind of
important.
gauge a standard.
And there's a lot of courses like the National Talent Academy, you know, through Screen Ireland, they offer courses all the time, and they're usually between 10 and 12 week courses, which, you know, from everything from beginners to mids to leads, and they run 10 to 12 weeks on average, and they're online, so literally it doesn't matter what part of the country you're in, you can log in and do them. So if you're outside Dublin or whatever, you can log in and do the course, and they're very good.
We're very lucky here, I'm sure it's the same up in the north here as well. So I mean, VFX Ireland went to LA on a trade mission a couple of years ago with Screen Ireland and Enterprise Ireland, and there was 5 companies went over, and the Americans couldn't believe, first of all, our collaboration, and secondly, the amount of training and government support we got. It was a total, they didn't understand that at all. So we do get plenty of support, that's for sure, and we probably don't use the supports as well as we should do maybe sometimes.
Eugene, you don't.
I don't. You actually have to be very organised to use the supports. So, you know, you kind of need somebody just to manage the support systems, really. So, but there's plenty of them, so there's kind of no excuse, really, for anybody to get into it, really, if they want. We're lucky that way.
There's a lot of options out there.
And the Talent Academy, again, to the sheets, look up the VFX Talent Academy, supported by Screen Ireland. There are a lot of courses for no fee or minimal fees. And actually, the most important thing is partly doing the course, but getting to know people. That's the other important thing. Networking is the key thing, both in the Republic and the North. Get your face seen, let people know your name, know that you're in the space and that you're interested.
And they offer mentorship programs after that. You know, you can join the companies and work, you know, if the particular projects are on, there's a possibility of getting in there as a mentor, with a mentor to learn the skills yourself.
And if you end up with myself, Eugene or Bernard, think of a different career.
Not true at all. Yeah, I think that's really important, because obviously the way that people are trained up, you kind of have to take on a little bit of, I suppose, your personal experience, and not everything has to go through the kind of traditional college. There are a lot of these kids that are coming through that are self-taught, and it's actually great to see.
Yeah.
I suppose that's obviously a brilliant thing for you guys if you're looking at people show reels coming in for the training schemes, through training schemes.
I think Ulster University does a good course up here as well.
Yes.
So there's a lot of different courses around, not only through the NTA but through the colleges as well, that can be explored and looked at.
I think that one of the things that's important too with college and learning, the fundamentals are always there, like design and, you know, like all animation, all them things. That fundamentals will always be important to have. So even though the technology is changing, all that, you know, the history of art and all these things are still totally relevant no matter what the technology is. So when you're at college, the fundamentals are completely important, because you never get a chance to learn that ever again. Because once you start working, you're working. So don't let the technology baffle you too much when it comes to education.
No, and then it's constantly changing anyway, so you're having to update and upskill, and I'm sure you're doing that in-house as well, you know, with training within, once you actually do get into the workforce.
Yeah.
Something that I did notice on the VFX Ireland have put together this amazing report that they released in 2024. And I know this myself as a VFX producer. It's a very male-dominated industry. I think, you know, a lot of people either come from gaming backgrounds or it just seems to be a far more male-dominated, I mean film in general, but specifically VFX. So in the report it said that only 38% of junior VFX staff and 35% of senior VFX staff are women or non-binary. But what I did like to see as part of the report was that each house has kind of committed to diversifying and not just gender, but also in terms of general kind of EDI. But what does that kind of look like in real terms?
And everyone's decided I should answer this question.
Yeah.
I wonder why. That was a joke, guys. Yeah, look, it is historically and traditionally been a very male-dominated sector, and we're all committed to equalising that. I mean, there's the political and philosophical reasons for doing that, but there's also brute business reasons for doing it. You know, having multiple voices in the room, because there's no one way to do a VFX shot. There's literally 1,000 ways to get to it. And if everyone is saying and thinking the same thing, you're not going to be a great VFX studio. So you need that multiplicity of voices. Also, the producers, directors that we're working with increasingly reflect the societies within which we're working, not like it was 20 years ago. So you just want that and need those voices from a business perspective and also a political one. I mean, I think gender is one where we've all struggled. We need more female supervisors, more female on the creative side. Obviously on the production side, you know, there are
artists, move for more female artists.
Artists. And the other, I mean, we're all committed to that, and that's something we want to do. And actually there's a lot of good female Irish artists that have left, gone to the UK and US, and we'll certainly be trying to attract them back with this new tax credit coming in. Yeah. The other thing to say is, from that EDI perspective, there are a lot of neurodivergent people that end up in VFX, as witnessed here. No, and it's important we all recognise that, but actually a VFX studio is a great place to come if you're neurodivergent. There's lots of, not that everyone is neurodivergent, but it attracts a higher cohort of neurodivergent people than other activities. So we have to accommodate that in our work practices, how we communicate with people, but actually making that inclusive space is better for us. I mean, you know, you just want great artists. I don't care, well, none of us care where they come from. It's true, it's the same for you. And actually having a more equitable space makes it more likely that you'll find the very best artists that you can find. So it is a key focus for us. I know you can hear that in a lot of sectors and it's lip service, but actually we're quite firmly located in that space of, if you can do the job, we need you, because that helps us win.
Yeah, there's a bit of pushing you have to do. You do have to compensate a bit. You know, you can't. You have to take risks. You have to. You do sometimes. You do have to. Especially females. The problem is not that many female artists want. A lot of female supervisors, producers, and on the production side, and that's across post in general.
Absolutely.
But we just have to keep biasing it a bit more and try and get more females into it, because
it's worth
they're very good. Their detail is excellent. It's just there's not enough.
It's worth saying in the courses now there are more people enrolled. Like I think the gender split has equalised and actually got higher in certain courses.
I think the Talent Academy is actively trying to encourage that at the moment and bring on, you know, a more diverse, you know, population into it so that they can.
And I wondered, maybe was it partly to do with it can be a very isolating industry at the same time. You know, really a lot of people end up working remotely from home. I know I prefer if people are in the studio. It's great to have, especially the kind of younger generation coming through. Great to have them in studio so you can kind of help with the training process. But that sort of isolation in general across VFX specifically, it might be a little bit of a deterrent, I suppose, for them, or like some social people, or people that
we're not, I can't speak for that. Well, I'm not a fan of working from home. No. It's just not. People don't learn, and people don't ask them embarrassing questions that you should know the answer to by leaning over and asking somebody like that. You can't put that in an email or a Slack
very hard to
message.
Mentor people, yeah.
You know, there's little communications all missing and especially juniors coming through. Mm-hmm. Even our senior guys, I don't want to go. I want to stay. Like, what about the other guys? You got to help everybody. So definitely not a big fan of it. it's convenient sometimes, and we know how to do it because COVID taught us how to do it.
Absolutely.
But it's not ideal.
We're an in-person studio. And we do, the longer people are with us, then there's a bit more flexibility. Obviously, for personal circumstances will allow work from home. But in the main, you learn better, you learn quicker. The creative output is better because people walk past desks and say, "What are you doing?" Finding solutions. So that person-to-person contact, I think it's same for all of our studios, is the key plank of how we work. So we've got to make them human spaces.
Well, especially some of the people we're talking about. Some of the artists are, as you said, they'll try and not communicate. You need to force them a wee bit into communicating. So it's much harder.
Into the gender piece. Oh, geez, really weird subwoofer going on there. In the gender piece, it is true avoiding that kind of laddish VFX studio space that we would have all seen, right? 10, 15, 20 years ago. You actively have to make sure that it's more accommodating, more, because otherwise it will drive people away when you force them to come in studio and it's all lads slapping guys.
I mean, there are benefits to remote for people who want to work outside of Dublin or outside, that they can, log in and that they have the opportunity to do that. I think that's important as well. But from a training point of view, I think mentoring, you need to be in-house and they need to work with the other skilled personnel to learn the craft.
Yeah, we accommodate the geography by saying, okay, you're in Galway, you can work in Galway, but we do want to see you in the studio for 3 days of a month, or,
just
try and work out a way.
Yeah, and keeping up those relationships and everything too. And then in terms of scaling up and down, just in terms of, say HBO thing comes along and, obviously it's all, it's pedal to the metal really. How do you kind of go about that, and is that where that sort of, again, that collaboration aspect kind of comes into play?
Yeah, do you want to... the scaling is a nightmare. Yeah. It's the hardest part. It's a very dangerous business to be in, VFX, because the consistency of work sometimes is good. When it's going, it's great. But a show goes, you might have 30 artists there working full time for like 6 months, 8 months, a year, and then the show goes, and it could be a gap of 4 or 5 months to the next show. And you can't keep all them people employed, you go out of business. So by letting people go, then you have to you're losing some core talent who will go somewhere else. And we've done a few things over the while, especially myself and Drew there, we've kind of said, have you got any free artists, could you, and we've done a bit of exchange back and forward on projects for sure. Certainly some of the projects we've been involved in over the years, because myself and Drew and yourself and Sophia were involved in couple of projects with VFX wise, and you were doing the post, and we needed to borrow personnel off each other.
But I think it works really well because obviously, again, going back to the tax credits, it's better for the producers. They're obviously, and also we're hitting those deadlines that are just getting tighter and tighter in terms of turnaround. And I think, I've had people come in, either directors or producers, or that maybe aren't that, I suppose, fluent in kind of VFX language, and you do have to kind of spell out the rigorous workflow that goes into actually delivering a shot, whereas sometimes you've got on your phone, I can replace a background in 2 seconds, why can you not do that?
It's going to take 20 people in 20 days.
Yes, exactly, and those expectations I suppose need to be managed constantly as well. So I suppose, how do you do that in a delicate manner?
You don't. No. I mean, just to go back to that resourcing piece, that's part of what VFX Ireland does. We're always kind of sharing information and trying to move people around because we want to keep talent within the city or within the state. And so we will, we know all of each other's artists pretty much. And then recruiting post-Brexit should be a lot easier than it was. Apologies to our friends in Great Britain. So in terms of that knowledge piece, there are plenty of, particularly because, as you said, the ubiquity of VFX, it's in everything now. So even kind of low budget episodics have lots of VFX. So it's part of our job to educate and tell people you can't, the turnaround time in a VFX studio is not immediate. We have a pipeline, we have to make sure that everything is technically correct, in the world of 4K, 6K universe, and that's where AI is falling down at the moment. We finish to the pixel. And you
But I
need
can do it in Seedance and Vivo or in Google Cloud for like in 10 minutes. What are you talking about, Drew?
And
That's the problem.
as you try to explain to the feature film director that their film's going to be seen in a 60-foot high screen,
Yes.
that actually this isn't going to hold up. It's a constant battle in terms of that education piece.
Yes. But then I suppose looking to the future, obviously again, very exciting times, a lot of developing technology, but also that the kind of global reach that Ireland has now. You know, you are working on feature films that will be released globally, you know, high budget and low budget.
It is crazy the work if you even look at the reels and the stuff there. Like we are doing stuff, world class stuff, and across post production as well. So it's great. The industry is quite vibrant at the moment. It's really good that way.
Yeah.
VFX a wee bit of a slump the last year or so, but the tax rate's going to change
Hopefully
that
the
again.
tax rate will lift.
But there's a
itself
lot of
again.
problems, the writer strikes and everything there for a while. So, but it is for a small island and a small amount of artists, relatively speaking, it's amazing the quality of world class work we get to do. You know, so
With 2 Emmys, 1 BAFTA nom, you know, we're punching above our weight, and with this tax credit, hopefully we'll keep doing that at a high level.
Is there a timeline on that tax credit coming through for kind of a second boom
It's been
here?
ratified now by
Next-
Europe, so we're just waiting to see in the next
couple of
months,
weeks,
I think, or
hopefully.
weeks. Hopefully it'll come
Okay.
through.
It'll either be before the Doyle recess in June,
Yeah, yeah.
or
as long as
it'll
the
be
recess
September.
first, yeah. No, I think it's on their agenda. So it should
I mean,
be
the
fine.
good thing about that tax break, it's not only just a VFX uplift, but it includes production and post within it. So
So
within
if
that
you-
1 to 10 million cap, it's a very positive thing and should encourage a lot more projects to come to Ireland. In the
Well, just to
future.
say to all the producers that are in this room, spend €1 million in VFX, and then you'll get 40% over the rest of
Try
your
the whole production.
first 10 million. So
So
pretty
the
good.
1 million
sign
free
contracts at
VFX
the end.
triggers.
I'll be here. Don't talk to me. These guys don't
Absolutely,
know what
meet
they're
us
talking
in the
about.
bar
Yeah, yeah.
after. We'll talk about it.
But saying that, there's still 32% up to that million, and there's 32% after the 10 million. So it's still a very high incentive, you know, and is kind of punches above its weight against the UK one at the moment.
Yeah, and I suppose that paired with the fact that Ireland has some of the most beautiful scenery, you know, we've
Yeah.
got amazing locations and studios now as well. Obviously, like up north, you know, we've got the Studio Ulster, and that's just open with big VP studios. So things are really happening at a kind of colossal rate at the moment, and it's lovely to see. So yeah, I suppose.
I think the new tax rate puts Ireland about number 3 in the world. It ranks number 3 with that 40% uplift for the benefits of film production.
Which is
And
pretty
VFX.
spectacular.
Yeah, it
you
is
know,
pretty
for,
good,
for the
yeah.
size of the company, it really is.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
I suppose the ambition is that we part of the model that VFX Ireland used for the lobbying is prior to Lord of the Rings, there was no VFX industry in New Zealand. Post Lord of the Rings, we got wetter, but then it attracts other companies, and it's a real established. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere, right? New Zealand's geographically, VFX is kind of geographically agnostic. But if you can create a hub where you create a centre of excellence,
Well, big shows create an industry.
They
You know,
do.
Game of Thrones, for example, perfect example.
Absolutely.
You know, and that was obviously you've done all the posts and stuff.
Yeah,
up
I
here.
don't think Yellow Moon would be the size that it is without HBO
Yeah.
sort of, that infrastructure just would not have been there, and
Yeah.
we're very lucky that obviously that's continued, but also for other companies looking inward and saying, Ireland are hitting this amazing standard, you know, north and south, and why wouldn't we come here? And
Yeah.
never to mention, you know, it's actually a lot, you know, less expensive in a lot of other aspects as well, you know, we're kind of competitive on the price point too.
Well, the problem with the problem with Dublin is it's not cheap.
No.
We have problems with getting artists there because it's so expensive. So
Sure, but then I suppose that's where that remote kind of aspect
Yeah.
comes into things.
you got to live in the north.
Yeah.
I'm from
Why
the north,
not?
I can say that.
which wouldn't be allowable under the tax credit, Eugene.
yeah,
we're
but like
trying to-
You would have the
There
island
was
of Ireland
something
was
there
paying
actually
tax,
that
isn't it?
somebody pointed out, which I wasn't aware of, that you can live you can live in the north.
they just need a PPS.
PPS for
You
the
need
south.
PPS,
Yeah.
so you still live here and still qualify. One of the things about the tax credit is boots on ground tax credit, so people have to be in the region, so all your artists and all your people need to be in that region to do it. So that's why it's such a that's why the government like it. That's why the
So if anyone has any rooms to let in Dublin,
yeah.
please leave your card.
You need so it's boots on ground credit. So, but you can be in Northern Ireland and be working in the south.
Once you have a DBS number, so,
And that's still qualified,
which is
amazing.
very useful.
Well, yeah, long may that collaboration continue. I'm very much looking forward to kind of how this all moves forward in the future, but I think we might open it up, just take any questions in the audience that anyone might have. I can really see if there's any hands up there. Any questions at all? No?
We've covered it.
Yes, one here, great.
Thanks. Uriel McMurrough from Lemithan TV. We have already got a significant in-house post operation. If we were to decide to look at this seriously, what are the three most important things we should do to try and break into visual effects?
Well, Lemithan, you've got a big operation down there, so you probably better than we are, because you need to manage somebody who manages Tesco's to manage the VFX department really. It's all about the artists really. It's, you need good supervisors and people who know what they're doing. It's people. You need to get the right people. The people bring the work in. People bring it through. It's all about artists and people.
It is a talent area, because from an engineering standpoint, you're going to be fine. The machines, the technology, you can buy it, you can rent it.
Put it in the cloud, like it doesn't. You don't even have to manage them anymore.
No.
But it is people.
It's hard to get experienced artists to find that, the numbers.
But also your creative lead, right? It's not just, you need someone who you can hang your hat on, going into a room saying, I can deliver your, people are coming in with their babies and asking you to put lipstick on. And, will this person trust me to put lipstick on a baby? And they're the kind of people you need to attract. Lovely part of the world, Waterford, and actually the accommodation is better.
And your room in Waterford.
yeah.
Well, the VFX can be anywhere in the world. Like it's not unlike traditional post-production. Post-production is very much is in person, like grading, sound, editing. It's very much a lot of human interaction between each other, as far as directors and artists or editors, whatever. Where VFX is a bit more, it's more incremental review. So and there's a lot of it's done remotely. So you can have a VFX studio anywhere. It's just if you do need to attract the talent there. So wherever you are, you need to make sure the talent want to come there. That's one of the biggest issues, especially people taking people from abroad. That's one of the problems. But it is all about the people, really,
And even in terms of on-set supervisors, is that something that you prefer to provide in-house, obviously, because they know your workflow, all of that stuff as well?
Well, we said
Well, Andy's
World on Fire.
Well, yeah, so we've done World on Fire, actually. Drew didn't have anybody, and then he sent Andy up, so Andy ended up supervising that particular job. Like, we don't have enough resources to have independent. There is independent on-set supervisors now, so it's fine. We do, if we're doing a VFX job, we will be called out with our own supervisors will be called out. We're doing a production now. There's two of them, and they were in the UK for a lot of this year, back and forth on the show. But and it's not ideal for us because they're out of the studio. So, but we do it. We have to do it.
Because it's a numbers game. So we have 3 people that can go out on set, but every day that they're out on set, they're not leading their creative teams. Yeah. So I know there's one female Irish on set who's looking to come back, who's been in Canada for 15 years, and whether she comes into a studio or becomes freelance, it's experience in people. She is such a safe pair of hands. The part of the reason the job will come to the Republic or to the North is because she'll be on it.
It's such an important role as well, because obviously, you're doing that thing with fix it and post. We try and fix it before you get to post if you can. So that's really.
They don't listen to you anyway.
They don't listen anyway.
They'll shoot it anyway.
Yeah. Well, we just have to keep rabbiting on about it. Fix it and prep, not post. But then, yes, I suppose VFX houses within and attached to post houses is obviously something here that we've kind of all come from that sort of background. And I suppose it makes sense in terms of workflow then. You're able to fit one to the other. You know, you're sort of looking workflow-wise and what works easiest in together.
Have you anybody here studying VFX at all, or any students that way, or anybody in that industry?
Somewhere over there, yeah.
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
He actually has the mic with him.
Yeah,
as well.
I'm a student in Ulster University. I study screen production. I've just done second year, and now heading into my third year, trying to look for a placement as well. So not kind of easy looking around here, but I know all of the work is in England, the south. I know that.
And do you study, is it a technical course or is it more production-based, creative course? Or what type of is it?
No, it's more production-based creative, but like we also do VFX as well. We have a digital room as well where we make just VFX projects and stuff like that. And I find it very adventurous because I love to edit as well and create content.
Sounds like you'll be going to Hollywood and Sophia.
Yeah.
Just
Yes,
make sure.
Sophia, give 'em a job.
Yeah, we do a lot of training schemes.
Yeah, so
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go get your details.
cheers, great, thank you.
That's got to be the best panel at the Celtic Medias. Someone got a job in the panel.
Absolutely, you're just right.
You're committed now, Sophia.
I know,
love to-
hey, we're always looking for good talent. So yes, another question up here. Wow.
Yeah, hi, Phil Morrow. I'm on the board of Studio Ulster as it happens, and I'm curious to what extent you're engaging in creating content for the LED volumes and also the post-production that comes after that. Is that changing some of the workflows for you?
Yeah, we're doing a fair bit on that actually. We were involved a fair bit with Amazon. Back in the COVID, we got into, first of all, back in COVID when they were doing this show called Modern Love. It was an Amazon show, and Amazon landed a big massive screen down in Ardmore, and nobody knew what, they needed a bit of content on it, so we ended up it was all, mainly the most stuff we've done is for actually driving plates, train plates, all kind of hard coded or baked in plates, but it was complicated because a lot of these rigs are shoot on 8 and 9 camera ARRI rigs, and they has to be all stitched together into a world, and it's quite complicated. But we've done a lot of that stuff over the years. And then our head of VFX, Andy Clark, he's very into it. He's doing a lot of work now, playing around with new stage. I know it's only in its development, but doing a lot of experimentation with that and using it to track. We've got a set up in the office. We can do the camera tracking. And
I think new stage is going to change the game, right, for VFX studios.
Well, it's going
because it's otherwise.
It's going to talk the right language. The problem up to now has been the technology used on set was more designed for lighting, for lighting guys more than actual VFX guys. And the VFX guys right on set, they couldn't talk the language to the guys operating the LED wall, and even when it came to Unreal Engine, still a lot of our artists don't really use that every day. We do use it, but not as our main tool. So I think Nuke Stage is a new tool from Foundry, and they're kind of bridging that gap so that our artists understand what that is, and we can prep stuff in our studio and then bring it to the set, and it's going to hopefully work the way it did in the studio before.
And vice versa, it'll take the metadata from the studio and bring it down.
Yeah, it keeps it all. It's just more a language thing between the studio artists and the actual people on set. So yeah, I think we've done a lot of work in that way, and we're ongoing.
I know we have to wrap up. Just to say the take home from this panel is we're constantly developing. So in answer to the question, all our studios and yourselves are constantly trying to look for new ways to tell stories in a persuasive, dynamic way that filmmakers want to make it. And we're at the heart of that, and partnering with facilities like yours is kind of key to us. But I think
Studio Ulster is very interesting. I haven't actually seen it. Actually, I must go out to see it now. I'll tap you now to go and look at it. But yeah, the conversion production thing is really complicated though, because you kind of need to have access to the stage all the time to play a wee bit with it, and it's very tricky just to go in as a pop-up solution. So we find that, but we do a lot of driving plates because that's easy to pop up.
I'm getting anxious now.
We got red numbers.
Full 10 seconds left.
Is anybody else any questions?
Well.
A 3-second question.
Yes. No. Well, if anyone does have any more questions, there are you know, we're all
We're
going to be
around,
here.
actually,
We're all
yeah.
Yeah, we're here
around.
all day.
And as you can tell, we're all quite very chatty. We're all chatty. So yeah, do come and have a wee chat with us after, but I hope you'll join me in saying thank you to our
Okay.
panellists.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a lovely audience. And yes, please come find us in the bar. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.